So what type of foods that we consume are under which type of modes of nature. So there are several things that we will understand. And then finally, we'll conclude with chapter 18. So we have these 3 days. So today being the first day for me, and we are going to start with the chapter 16. So before we start, shall we do the Mangala Charan? And then we'll start with that. Om Ajnanatimrandasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshurunmitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Gurum Sri Yuttapada Kamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadavaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindamneshwari Rishibhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhrescha Kripa Sindhubevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Pam karoti vachalam pangum lingayate yat kripataham vande Paramananda Matam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Ishwar. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimati Jagata Swamiti Gaura Gadadam. So is everyone able to see my screen?
Yes, Prabhu.
And hope my audio is also clear to all of you.
Yes,
Prabhu. Very clear, Prabhuji.
Okay. I want to ask you before we begin, how many of you all have read the chapter 16 and have understood? So you can raise your hands. Okay. So just 1, 2, 3. Okay, 4. So should I assume that the others who have not raised their hand, they haven't read the chapter 16? Okay. So as I said, we're going to start. So we are going to start the 16th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So today being quite an auspicious day, the Gita Jayanti, also the Mokshadaya Ekadashi. And first of all, I would like to thank Ashish Prabhu for giving us this opportunity to speak about the subject for the next 3 days. So I'm quite fortunate that I got an opportunity to speak on the Bhagavad Gita, especially today. All right. So all right. So the topic that we are going to touch, the 16th chapter, the divine and the demonic nature, very, very important. So Krishna says very clearly in this chapter that what type of people fall under the demonic nature, and what type of people fall under the demonic nature. I think someone is playing with the screen. Can I request them to stop it, please? Thank you. So, and before we begin the subsequent verses, we will also touch upon the summary or the revision of the 15th chapter. So what we have touched in the 15th chapter. So there were 4 sections within the 15th chapter. So that is from 15.1 until 15.5, where the detachment from the material world was being touched upon. Then from 15.6 until 15.11, Krishna taught, we learned about the transmigrations from various species, which is also known as the Purushottama Yoga. And then from 12 to 15, again under Purushottama Yoga, so the position of the Krishna, yeah, who as maintainer, we all understood. And then from 16 until 20, there were 3 shlokas of the Bhagavad Gita which summarizes the Veda and the Vedanta, and what kinds of living entities were categorized within that. So this is what were touched as far as the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita was concerned. Now we'll see what we are going to touch upon in the 16th chapter. So what I've done is I've divided this entire chapters, this specific chapter of 16 into 3 sections. Yeah. So section A, which is basically from 16.1 until 16.6, which talks about the transcendental nature of the divine persons and what are the demonic qualities. So by reading this verse and trying to understand, we will be able to introspect as to which category are we in. Are we in the transcendental divine nature of person that we are in, or are we part of the demonic quality, or are we in mix of both? So sometimes transcendental, sometimes divine, sometimes demonic. So we will be able to throw a very clear picture on that. Then between 16.7 and 20, we are going to touch upon the demonic nature. And the section C, that how we are actually escaping the supreme destination by choosing certain choices. Yeah, we have a choice. We have a choice whether to be and practice a divine quality, or if we or do we want to practice the demonic quality. So based on the choices that we choose, the future life is predestined. Yeah? So let's touch upon the first verse. So before we begin, I would like to ask all of you, in case if at all you have any questions, please write it down, or you can even raise your hands, and then before we begin with the next topic, you can ask. Yeah. So the first shloka, Krishna says, so we'll read out the shloka also, and then I'll read the translation, and then we'll get into the discussion of those, each and every text of his. I'll be touching upon the summary of it. I'll not be going in detail of every shloka, because otherwise the time is very short, and we'll not be able to cover all of them. But the important shlokas we will touch upon, we'll try to read, understand, and try to also discuss in detail of those things. So 16.1, Sri Bhagavan Abhayam Sattva Samshuddhir Jnana Yoga Vyavastitaha Dhanam Dhamascha Yagnascha Swadayas Tap Arjavam. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, fearless. So these are the qualities what Krishna is describing to Arjuna, that these qualities according to me, which means Krishna, according to Krishna, these are the divine qualities of a person who are entitled to achieve moksha, or to go back to him. Yeah. So Krishna is already clearly defined. This is what Bhagavad Gita states. So what Krishna says, fearlessness. Now what is fearlessness? We will go one step ahead and try to understand deeper. Now, because everyone is quite subjective, isn't it? Fearlessness is quite subjective. So, what kind of fearlessness is Krishna talking about? We'll try to understand. Then, purification of one's existence, cultivation of spiritual knowledge, charity, self control, performance of sacrifice, study of the Vedas, austerity, simplicity. So, this is the first shloka, what Krishna says. Second one, ahimsa satyam akrodas tyaga shantir apaisunam daya bhuteshwa alau patvam mardvam harir ajpalam. So, what it says, non-violence, truthfulness, freedom from anger, renunciation, tranquility, aversion to fault finding, compassion for all living entities, freedom from covetousness, gentleness, modesty, steady determination. So, altogether, actually, there are 26 qualities. So, we have touched upon some of them. So, there's some more, which is the concluding shloka, which is the third shloka. So, in these three shlokas, Krishna covers that what are the 26 qualities that he is looking for. Teja, Kshama, Dhriti, Saucham, Adroho, Nati, Manita, Bhavanti, Sampadam, Daivim, Abhijatsya, Bharata. So, what are those? Vigor, forgiveness, fortitude, cleanliness, and freedom from envy and from the passion for honor. These transcendental qualities, O son of Bharata, belong to godly men endowed with divine nature. So, these are the 26 qualities or the 26 divine nature of the person whom we can categorize as godly. So anyone who comes and claims that he's a god, is a god. We would have come across so many people come and say that I am God. But then if you are God, then do we have these qualities? Yeah. Krishna understand that if this person has this many qualities, then he is entitled to go back to him. So we can, checklist. These are the checklists that we need to have. So what we'll try to understand is this each and every quality that has been listed down. So who needs to have these qualities? Because there are 4 ashramas. We have there are 4 ashramas. There is grahastha, there is sannyasa, there is brahmachari, and then vanaprastha. Okay, so here we'll be touching upon primarily because most of us are grahasthas here. So which qualities comes under grahastha and which qualities comes under sannyasa, and who has to maintain what? So if someone is calling themselves as a sannyasi, so what are the primary requirements for calling oneself as a sannyasi? So that we will try to understand. Then if it's a grahastha, because grahastha has many responsibilities. In fact, Prabhupada says that a grahastha devotee is actually even higher than sannyasa. Can someone tell me why Prabhupada said like this? Anyone has any clue?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, shall I try?
Yes, please go ahead.
It's because
Prabhuji,
he has to serve the sannyasis also by contributing to their
living. One by one, please.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Krishna, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, Prabhupada said that because it is given as a duty to the grihasthas to serve the brahmacharis and the sannyasis.
Okay. Yeah. Anyone else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Mataji, please go ahead.
Prabhuji, Srila Prabhupada said this because Grahastha being in household chores, they, in spite of having busy schedule, they make it a point to offer their obeisances, and they make it a point to do do devotional service to the Supreme Lord.
Very nice answer, Mataji. Actually, what Prabhupada said was, and what I have heard from various senior devotees, that grahasthas and if you compare between a life of a grahastha and a life of a sannyasi, actually sannyasis live in a quite a favorable environment to practice devotional service, while grahastha may or may not be in a conducive environment of a devotional to do or practice devotional service. For example, grahastha has various family obligations, various responsibilities. Like for example, the grahastha responsibility changes based on the time. Yeah, like early morning, he can perform devotional service, and then from morning 9 to 5, he has to fulfill his family responsibilities, and then come back in the evening. Maybe various other family responsibilities will be there. Yeah, social obligation will be there. So, despite all of that, and still one is doing a devotional service. So, and then also supporting various other ashramas. Yeah. So that's the reason why Prabhupada also mentioned that actually the grahastha is actually on a higher level than the sannyasi, provided the grahastha is a practicing devotee, a serious practicing devotee, and then uh, falling within the qualities of all these characteristics. Whereas a sannyasi lives under quite a conducive environment, so it becomes quite easy to practice. For example, a sannyasi, spends most of the time amongst the devotee, spends most of the time in the temple, and spends time in preaching or various other devotional activities. So 24/7, the sannyasi is always practicing a devotional service because that is his prime duty. Whereas the grahastha has to shift between various duties and various responsibilities. So he has to manage the people because he or she will be in touch with the outside world, and then various financial obligation, then family obligation, social obligation. Despite that, the grahastha devotee still manages his personal sadhana, devotional service, and various other things. That's the primary reason. So what we'll do is we will break up this entire 26 qualities and try to understand that to which particular ashram this is a prime requirement. Okay. So what I've done is I've broken down this entire thing into 26 different qualities. So we know what are the qualities, which we have just spoken about. Then it belongs so within what varna or the ashrama one is to follow, and then we'll just talk about in detail a bit. So first comes the fearlessness, which is the abhayam. So, and it's more applicable to the sannyasa ashram, and it says it is the first qualification for a sannyasi. Why? Because a sannyasi has to be completely dependent on Supreme Lord's mercy, and has to be done without guarantee of support, which means he's totally dependent on the Lord, isn't it? Because he's a sannyasi, he's a renunciate. He has to, the reason why he's taken a renunciation is to totally depend upon Krishna. Yeah. So anything that happens, he has to be fearless. I mean, he should not be fearful, be it death, be it anything in life that happens. He has to be 100% fearless because he is completely dependent on the Lord. And then he is convinced that the Paramatma will give all protection to the surrendered soul. So he's 100% convinced. Yeah, just like Draupadi. What happened to Draupadi? Finally, when the last piece of her robe was left, finally she had to raise her hand and then call out Sri Krishna. And that was with 100% surrender. So similarly, we all have to practice. Even though it's mentioned that the sannyasa ashram has to follow this particular quality. Even we as a grahastha or any other ashrama that we are in, we should also follow this particular thing. See, surrender is something which comes within the heart, and that develops when we have faith. So that faith can develop when we follow or we practice the devotional service in consistency. So when we do that, the faith will develop, When the faith develops, the surrender mood will come automatically. So the second quality is the purification of one's existence, which is sattva, sauch, saucho, dui, which is again falls under the sannyasi ashrama. So what is that? It says this, that sannyasi should strictly follow the rules and regulations, because he has taken a vow of renunciation. So obviously certain rules and regulation needs to follow. That does not mean that grahastha can break the rules and regulation. No. Yeah. Actually, the followings of rules and regulation has to be followed by everyone. If our ultimate goal is to achieve the ultimate destination, then the following of the strict rules is compulsory. And especially it says that for a sannyasi, it is forbidden to associate intimately with any woman. Yeah, for a sannyasi, that's a big no-no. Yeah, similarly for a grahastha also. Yeah, so we have the four regulative principles, wherein one of the regulated principle is no illicit relation outside the marriage. So that is also one of the regulated relation. But a grahastha has been given a license to get married and have Krishna conscious children. But for a sannyasi, even to mix with a woman is prohibited. Now, the third quality is the cultivation of knowledge, which is the jnana yoga vyavastitu. And again, it comes under the sannyasa ashram. Now, a duty of a sannyasi is to cultivate and give transcendental knowledge to whom? Especially to the householder. So it is basically an interconnect, yeah, between the sannyasi and between the sannyasa ashram and the grahastha ashram. So sannyasa ashram takes the responsibility of giving the knowledge to the grahastha ashram, while the grahastha ashram takes the responsibility of taking care of the sannyasa ashram in terms of their physical well-being, in terms of their, so that it helps them for reaching more number of people. Then the sannyasa ashram should also cultivate the humility, which means the sannyasa begs from door to door to awaken Krishna conscious for others. So basically the sannyasi will go door to door and ensure, not only ensure, actually is begging that a person becomes devotee, because why has a person got into a renunciation life or taken a sannyasa as a life? So that first of all, we know that we live very few years within this planet, and whatever years is left, so that we not only purify ourselves but we also purify others. So that is the exact nature of I mean, that is the real purpose of a human being. The real purpose being that we not only purify ourselves but we also give this transcendental knowledge to others. Now the fourth is the charity, which is dhanam. Now dhanam comes under grahastha. Yeah, very important. So charity given in the mode of goodness, which is the right time, place, and person, it needs to happen and will be done by the grahastha. And it also says 50% of their income to propagate the Krishna consciousness. I don't know how many of us are doing this. Then charity in passion and ignorance is nothing but a waste of time. Like sometimes we do charity for the sake of, because we want to be known, we want to be recognized, we want our name to be displayed so that everyone knows that, I have done this so and so charity. And sometimes, even during programs, when our names are announced that, that I have donated for this cause. And then when my name is announced, so I'm so proud, isn't it? So, but that's actually, that comes under the mode of passion or ignorance, and it's nothing but a waste, because that's not going to lead us anywhere. So the real reason of giving charity is self-purification. That may not happen. In fact, when we do the charity in mode of passion or ignorance, we'll get more and more entangled. And then self-control. Now, the self-control comes under all the varnas or the ashramas. And it says especially the grahasthas. Why grahasthas? Because grahastha is the ashrama which comes in contact with the outside world. That doesn't mean that the sannyasa does not come in contact with the outside world. They also do, but for them, they are in a protected environment, while the grahastha is not in a protected environment. The grahastha is in an exposed environment. So for us, for the grahastha, it is even more important. So it says, especially the sex life should be used only to propagate Krishna conscious children. So, and that is the reason, prime reason, that when a person takes initiation, the sannyasi gives an initiation to grahastha family, and then during initiation, one needs to take a vow of the 4 regulated principles. So out of one of those 4 regulated principles which I just spoke, which is no illicit relation outside marriage. Yeah. So then what are the other 3 regulated principles? Anyone knows? No meat eating. Yeah.
No
16 rounds, chanting
intoxication.
16 rounds per week.
Yes, no
No
intoxication,
gambling.
no gambling. Because why this vow? Because if we don't undertake this vow, what will happen? We will destroy our spirituality. So to protect our spiritual nature, this regulated principle is quite essential. Because what is our ultimate aim? Because we as a human, we have got this human form of life, not to enjoy this body, not to enjoy this material world, so that we come here, we understand the purpose, we purify ourselves, and then we go back home, back to God. So, but then there is a process that needs to follow. If we don't follow that process, again we will take some other body and again do the same thing. Punarapi janama, punarapi maranam. This cycle will be endless. But is that the purpose of life? Because when we see the outside world, that is what is happening, isn't it? So the reason of we all coming together, reading Bhagavad Gita, we need to have some purpose. Not because, okay, somebody has written Bhagavad Gita, come let us read like any other novel or any other fictional books. No, that is not the purpose. This Bhagavad Gita is nothing but a manual. This is a manual for human life. Yeah, this is a manual written specifically for human beings. Yeah, and for the human beings, for us to know why we have come in this planet, what we have to do, how we have to do, and then how we have to finish our business and go back to our original place. That is a purpose. Okay, so the next quality is the sacrifice, especially mentioned for grahastha. So what is the sacrifice required? It says it requires a material resource, which is the Agni Hotra Yajna, but it says Sankirtana Yajna is the best. Even though we have to do the Agni Hotra Yajna, but since we are in Kali Yuga, so nothing is pure. The Brahmana whom we engage, he may not be pure. The items that we procure to conduct the Agni Hotra Yajna may not be pure. The place may not be pure. The intention may not be pure. So to avoid all of this, what is best is to do the Sankirtana Yajna. Yeah. So all of us can congregate and then do the sing the Maha Mantra. Yeah, and that becomes the Sankirtana Yajna. So which not only purifies the person who does this, but also the surroundings and also the people who are participating. Such a nice thing, no? Like no need of the Agni, the actual Agni, no need of a priest, no need of all the paraphernalia, all that we can avoid. So just to the Sankirtana Yajna, it gives much more effect than the actual Agnihotra Yajna. Yeah. So it says it's first of all it's most inexpensive. Yeah, and then anyone can do, no qualification required. Yeah, and in result, what the highest benefit that we get. Then the next one is the Vedic study. Yeah, to whom it is? For brahmachari, a student life. So it is recommended for a brahmachari that celibacy and an engagement of mind in the study of Vedic literature is required. So one needs to undertake the Vedic study. So even the Grihastha can undertake the Vedic study. That is exactly what we are doing at the moment. And then next is the austerity, so which is the tapa. So austerity everyone needs to do. Yeah, today being Ekadashi, we are doing an austerity. What kind of austerity we are doing? We are following the vrata, isn't it? So we are fasting. We are fasting from grains. So this is one type of austerity. So in the month of June, generally we all do the Nirjala Ekadashi, which is also a tapa. Yeah. So sometimes I know people do. Um, I have come across some devotees. So all Ekadashis they will do Nirjal. Yeah. Now they don't do Nirjal or they don't do fasting just because they want to show someone else. No, it is for our own purification. We do this tapa, this austerity for our own purification. So it says human life is meant for liberation, and for that tapasya is a must. So this is one of the aspect of a devotional service, because when we, for us to practice devotional service, for us to go back home, back to Godhead, there are several, processes that we need to follow. So as to keep our mind, engaged in devotional service. So for us to keep for our mind to be engaged, yeah, for us to remain connected, for us to be in association of devotees, for us to understand that who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and for us to understand what was the instruction given to us, for that austerity is very much essential. In fact, in the earlier yugas, even the demons used to do tapa. Who is the best example? Anyone?
Ravana and Hiranyakashipu.
Yeah, they used to do tapa, like Hiranyakashipu did for many thousands of years, but he did it with a different intention. He wanted to fight against God. Yeah, that is not correct. So we do tapa for our own purification, one, and then for us to go back home, back to Godhead, for us to make our journey easy to go back home, back to Godhead. That's the purpose of we doing tapa. Yeah. And several people, they do sometimes Monday fasting, Tuesday fasting, Wednesday fasting, Saturday fasting. Why? Because I have a dosha, or I have a particular planet, there's a problem. So, but when we do this, all of that is being done for this body. This body is ultimately going to perish one day. So what is the point of doing for this body? We shouldn't do this for our body. We have to do it for our consciousness, for our soul. And that is where, so the intention becomes very important. Why are we doing this particular tapa? Are we doing this because I want to, marry a very good girl, or I want to marry a good boy? Or are we doing it because I want to get a good job, or I want to win some contract, or because I have some disease? If that is a purpose, then that comes under the mode of passion or mode of ignorance, which we'll be touching upon later. Yeah. But when we do this austerity, yeah, for our spiritual progress, then that comes under mode of goodness. Okay, the next quality is the simplicity. Yeah. So one needs to be very simple and straightforward. No duplicity. So simple meaning, Prabhupada said, simple living, high thinking. That should be our motto. Lead a simple life, but our thinking should be always superior. So why? Because we have to be in touch with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So obviously our thinking should be always superior. Then non-violence, which is ahimsa, and all these are applicable for all the varnas. So non-violence, which means non-violence implies not checking progressive life of any living entity. Yeah. So when we say non-violence, not harming, first of all, not harming physically, not harming mentally, not harming by our words, by our mind, by our actions. In fact, if we are not able to do anything good to others, at least don't do any bad to others. Yeah. Because we have very less time of this life. So try to do good first, try to do good for ourselves, for our own soul. Yeah. Try to purify ourselves, and then try to do also good to others rather than doing anything bad to others. Because the moment we do anything bad to others, karma will immediately react. So to avoid any reaction, we should only try to do as much good as possible. So even before beginning to do anything good to others, start to do something good to ourselves. That is primary. So how do we do that? By practicing devotional service. Then truthfulness, which is satyam. Yeah. So no distorting the truth for any personal interest. So that means, for my own personal interest, I might say something, I might say a lie with some bad intent. That should not be the case. Then especially it says in the Vedic instructions. So if something is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita or something is mentioned in the scripture, we have to state as it is. That's why in the Bhagavad Gita it is said, it is Bhagavad Gita as it is. Yeah, there is no concoction. Then process of understanding the Vedas. So one must hear from the authority, which is Shruti. So we need to understand the scriptures from the disciplic succession. So from our previous acharyas, whatever has been spoken, whatever they have tried to make us understand, that needs to be propagated as it is, without adding our comments and without concocting it. So it needs to be presented as it is. So whatever you see on the screen today, everything has been presented as it is from Bhagavad Gita as it is. So that's the reason why we have also, every time when we touch upon Bhagavad Gita or any verses, we always give the references of that particular sloka, so that in case if anyone has a doubt, we can always go back and refer. Freedom from anger, which is akrodha. So even if there is so we have to avoid this, yeah, which is even if there is a provocation, one should be tolerant. Why? Because the anger pollutes the whole body, and because anger is a product of passion and lust. Then renunciation. So whatever we do tyaga, it needs to be properly utilized for Krishna's service. Then tranquility. So what's tranquility? We have to remain equipoised, which is unaffected by disturbing emotions, peaceful and remain equipoised. So many times what happens, some people ask, Prabhu, how are you? We say we are good, but in back of our mind, we may not be good. We may be disturbed. Why? Because maybe some other devotee had said something about us, or the parents have said something about us, our friends would have said something. There are various things, no? So someone saying something or someone doing something, or due to some kind of activity or some impact, we change our mood. So that means sometimes we are good, sometimes we are bad. So we react based on the situation. But in reality, it should not be the case. Why? Because the soul is supposed to remain always blissful. If we understand that we are not the body, we are the soul, then we have to imbibe the character of the soul. So the character of the soul is to remain equipoised. Then aversion to fault finding. To call a thief is okay, but no unnecessary fault finding or correction. We do have to find a fault. Yeah. If you feel that this is going to impact or going to affect someone's spiritual progress, we have to get it corrected. But then that should not become the habit of correcting all the time. So there's a difference between correction and fault finding. So when there is a correction, there is a good intention behind. But when there is a fault finding, that means we are trying to push someone down. So our nature should be always to lift someone from the ground, not to push him down. Because when we are trying to pull someone up, that means we are at a higher position. That is the reason why we are pulling someone up. So that should be the character that we need to build. Then the 16th quality is compassion for all living entities, daya. So how best we can do, and this is the best month, Yeah, because December happens to be the marathon month of distributing the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and various scripture. So this is the best month to show our daya. How? By giving spiritual knowledge. And we can give spiritual knowledge in terms of prasadam, by cooking prasadam and giving it to others. Yeah. Then distributing the books, and then performing the Sankirtana Yajna by distributing the holy name as well. Then the 17th happens to be the freedom of covetousness. Yeah. So covetousness is nothing but greedy. Yeah. So we cannot be greedy. So we need to be greedy for spiritual knowledge. We need to be greedy for turning more and more people into devotees. That spiritual greediness is good, is required, but not for material greediness, because material greediness is unlimited and that will entangle us. Then gentleness. So we need to be friendliness to all the living entities. Then modesty. Yeah. So how do we remain modest? That we should not perform any abominable actions and be very modest. So when we say abominable, it's based on the scripture. So what is abominable and what is inabominable, we generally know. Yeah. Something which is hurting others, so that is abominable. Yeah. And something which is going to hurt our spiritual progress, that comes under abominable actions. Then steady determination, always fixed. Yeah. Now we should not be agitated or frustrated in one's effort, and regardless of failure. So we have to do if we think that this action, what we're doing is right from a scriptural perspective, from the whatever our acharyas has given us as the direction, our Maharajas or our spiritual master would have told us to do, or our senior devotees would have told us to do. If we remain in that determination, yes, this action, I have been instructed to do this particular activity. Okay, whether I'm getting result or not, you have to leave it to the Lord. Let the Lord decide, but we have to perform that activity with full sincerity. Now, regardless of sometimes what happens when we fail to achieve that particular activity, what happens? We become morose, and then we will lose the spirit of it, and then we will lose the enthusiasm. No, we have to remain steadfast in whatever we are doing. Then progress with patience and determination. Then vigor. Now this vigor is for the Kshatriyas. Now what is that vigor? Able to give protection to those who need it. So even we Grahastha, we can give protection, may not be physically, but in terms of by for example, if we want to give some education, yeah, for a person who is unable to afford any education. So by providing education to a person who is dependent, we are actually protecting his future. Now, not only future, but also his spiritual development. So we can customize this based on our circumstances. But the ultimate goal should be the spiritual progress. Ultimate aim should be devotional service. And then not pose non-violent, but use violence when needed. The best example of violence is Lord Hanuman. Yeah. So he was violent, but he used his violent nature as a devotional service. So what he did, he went to Lanka and then used the violence against Ravana's kingdom. But suppose we have that nature, but we should not use the violence against our own people, our own devotees, our own society. No. But we have to use the violence to actually kill the demons within us. Yeah, there are a lot of demons, no, with our own thoughts, our own consciousness. That is, and even among the society. So that the lack of knowledge is also one of the demons. That demons needs to be killed. Yeah. So we can use our violent nature to do that. Quality number 22 is forgiveness. Very, very important. Yeah. So we have to forgive any minor offenses of others. So forgiveness is the first step for our spiritual progress. Yeah. If we keep anything in our heart forever, that's not going to help it, because we will have that particular thought in our mind, and then with that thought, we'll have to again come back and take birth on this planet. Then when one is able to curb down his enemies, he may under certain conditions show forgiveness. So be it anyone, be it our enemy, our own enemy, however bitter that relation may be, try to develop the nature of forgiveness. That is one of the best thing to do. And that is the first step for our spiritual progress. Then fortitude, which is the mental and the emotional strength when facing difficult situation. Yeah. So we need to develop this quality of developing the mental and the emotional strength. And that we can derive only when we understand what Krishna is expecting us to do. Yeah. Well, Arjuna was in quite a serious condition. Arjuna was asked to kill his own people. Just imagine what kind of emotional and the mental trauma that he must have undergone. Just imagine if someone is asking us to kill our own family member, will we do it? No, we will not do. We'll have to undergo so much of that mental and the emotional strength we need to draw, isn't it? Just imagine the condition of Arjuna. And that's why finally, when Arjuna was not able to take any decision, what did he say? Karpanya dosho prahat swabhavaha prachami tvam dharma samudha chetaha yat shreyashan nishtitam tuhitan me shishyaste ham sadimam tvam prapannam. So he finally told Krishna, oh Krishna, now you are my spiritual master. You guide me what I have to do. So this is what we have to do. So whenever we fail to discriminate what is right and what is wrong, just surrender unto Krishna. Just approach the Lord. Just approach your spiritual master. Just approach a senior devotee. Open your heart and tell them that this is what we are going through. Please guide us. What needs to be done? Yeah. Then cleanliness, very, very important. Yeah. So we are talking about two things: cleanliness of our heart and mind. Yeah. And then external body as well. So body and in dealings with others. So what happens when our mind is clean, when our heart is clean, automatically our thought, there will be a purity in our thought, there will be purity in our actions, and obviously we will also be dealing with that pure understanding itself. And then it says no black market or underhanded dealings. So when our heart is clean, my mind is clean, so obviously we know the dangers of doing any kind of black marketing or any kind of underhanded dealings. We will not be doing that. So for that, what needs to do? We have to be in association with devotees. Yeah, chant our prescribed rounds. Yeah, try to read the scripture amongst the devotees. Yeah, practice devotional service. When we do all of that, so obviously we will know the dangers. So obviously we will not deal with any black market or any underhanded dealings. Then freedom from envy. So, and this for all. So no resentful of another. Yeah. So we have to develop this nature of not being envy with anyone. In fact, when we show our disrespect to others, yeah, so that's the nature of enviness, isn't it? And then we feel why that person has, why I don't have. That's because we are connecting ourselves with this body. That is the reason. The moment we start connecting with our soul, so this enviness will not come, because we will start seeing everyone on an equal platform. Possibly I am suffering in some other environment, others are suffering in some other environment. It's like a prisoner within the jail. Yeah, a prisoner is a prisoner. Some prisoner is in a jail, but has some facility, while some prisoner does not have any facility. But at the end of the day, they're all in the jail. They're all undergoing some punishment. Similarly, we Jivatma, we're all undergoing this punishment within this own body. Some have a beautiful body, some have a disfigured body, some have a very good facility, some are driving a very nice car, some are not driving cars, some are boarding a public transport. But ultimately, all of us are suffering. The modes may be different, but ultimate thing is we all are suffering. Now, then freedom from the passion for honor. Everyone needs someone to praise, isn't it? That's why Instagram or Facebook are doing such a wonderful business. Why? Because people needs those likes. Every reel that we see, we have to like it, we have to subscribe it. Yeah. because the person who has done it is looking forward that someone should like what I'm doing, and then someone should go and tell others that this person has done good. But how do we develop that habit? Yeah. So what we have to do is we should start respecting others, and then one should not be puffed up with unnecessary prestige and honor, but remain in one's own status. So whatever honor we get, so the first thing what we have been learned, what we have been taught is the moment we are being honored, we have to immediately pass this honor to our spiritual master, to our senior devotees, with whose mercy we are getting this honor. The moment we do, we start developing that attitude. Yeah. So automatically we get freedom, and then we will not get puffed up because we are not taking that honor. Even though someone, for example, at the end of the class, devotees may say, Prabhu, what a nice class you have given. Or when we walk outside, Prabhu, what a wonderful class you have given. So what happens immediately, we start getting puffed up. Oh, my class was very nice. So people started liking it. No? The moment someone praises, immediately we have to say, okay, this is all due to the mercy of my spiritual master because of the previous acharya. So all credit goes to them. We are just a parrot, isn't it? We are just repeating whatever has been told to us. So these are the 26 qualities what Krishna is expecting each one of us to develop. And then this qualities then gives us an opportunity to become a devotee. Only when we develop this quality. So now we know we can check box. Do we have this quality within us? If not, we have to imbibe this qualities. Now we'll try to understand the demonic quality. I think we are running out of time. We started late by 10 minutes, so I'll take another 10 more minutes. Is that okay, devotees?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So I'll try to quickly touch upon this. So the demonic attributes. So what are the demonic attributes that one has?
Prabhuji, you are muted.
I'm sorry. So these are from verse number 7 until verse number 20. So this verses describes what are the characteristics of a demon. So we will also able to see, do we fit in any of this, and if we fit, immediately we have to start working on that and try to get into the divine qualities. So this 7th verse, what it says, that a person in demonic nature do not know what to avoid and what to do or to avoid. Yeah, because he or she will always go against the scripture, and then is always unclean and untruthful. Okay. Then the 8th verse says they follow the wrong philosophy, which means that they believe that this world has no God and there is no order, and it is created by desire. Then the 9th verse, it says, what are the consequences? Yeah. So when they do this, what are the consequences they feel? So enemies of the world causing harm and disturbance. I'll just try to take out the shloka so that it becomes easy. Are you all able to see the shloka? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. So this is from 7 to 20. We'll just touch them quickly on the shloka. So those who are demonic do not know what is to be done and what is not to be done. They are neither clean or nor they behave properly, and not truth is found in them. Yeah. So they are never truthful. They are never clean, and then they have a demonic nature. So because they don't know what is to be done and what is not to be done. The next shloka says that they say that this world is unreal. Yeah, because they say this is illusion, which is true. This world is unreal, and it says with no foundation and then no God in control, which is actually wrong, because this entire planet, this entire creation is perfectly controlled by Krishna, perfectly controlled. We see at the right time the sun rises, at the right time the sun sets. Yeah, at the right time various weather they changes. Yeah, so today sitting, I will know when is the next eclipse that is going to happen. We will know when is the summer going to arrive. It is not that everything is happening haphazardly. No, it doesn't happen that way. Everything is in full control. Are we scared that okay, tomorrow the Jupiter planet might come and hit the planet Earth? No, everything is going its own axis properly. Yeah, not even a 1 inch the Earth goes forward, we'll go forward towards the sun. It'll start becoming very hot, or going backward, start feeling cold. It doesn't happen that way. No, everything is so controlled. And then they say it is produced of sex desire and has no cause other than lust. It says, well, people have that tendency to say that okay, we have come into this world because we were produced out of the lust and desire. That is there. That is one aspect of it, but the real aspect is our karma because of the entanglement. Now, following such conclusion, the demonic who are lost to themselves and who have no intelligence engage in unbeneficial, horrible works meant to destroy the world. So they do all the horrible works, all the unbeneficial, which is not at all beneficial to others. And the ultimate aim is to destroy this world. Then they take the shelter of insatiable lust and get absorbed in the conceit of pride and false prestige. Yeah, the demoniac, thus illusioned, are always sown to unclean work, attracted by the impermanent. See, these are all words spoken by Krishna. So he has very clearly categorized that what kind of people are those. So if I say this was the 10th verse, so basically it says it is full of lust, pride, hypocrisy, acting with impure motives. Yeah. So when we have these qualities, then we are categorized under the demonic section. Then they believe that to gratify the senses is the prime necessity of human civilization, always in the mode of sense gratification. Then until the end of life, their anxiety is immeasurable. So because they are always busy with sense gratification, what happens? Anxiety is guaranteed. Then bound by a network of hundreds of thousands of desires and absorbed in lust and anger, they secure money by illegal means for sense gratification. So because they have to gratify their senses, so their needs are unlimited. Because their needs are unlimited, they also get into securing money through illegal means. So by gambling, that's why we say for regulated principle. Yeah. So one needs to get money illegally. So the moment we get into illegal means, that means it is gambling or doing all illegal means. What is the purpose behind it? For sense gratification. We know so many cases, right? So many people being caught by the police, especially people who are in the show business, because they are so used to showing their body, showing their talent, yeah, and they get so much used to their, the luxurious life, and then one point in time it comes that they are unable to afford those, so they start doing all the illegal activities. You come across so many cases like this, isn't it? Then that Krishna says the demonic persons think so much wealth do I have today, and I will gain more according to my schemes. So much is mine now, and it will increase in the future, and more and more. So Krishna said that he is my enemy, and I have killed him. I mean, Krishna said that the person, the mentality, he always thinks the other person as his enemy, and I have killed him, and my other enemies will also be killed. And then he says, I am the Lord of everything. He considered himself as the Lord. Yeah. Then he considered him as the enjoyer, and I'm perfect, powerful, and happy. I'm the richest man surrounded by aristocratic relatives. There is none so powerful and happy as I am. I shall perform sacrifices, I shall give some charity, and thus I shall rejoice. So the purpose of giving charity or doing some sacrifices so that I shall enjoy. That is the objective behind. So all this comes under the demonic mentality. Many times I've attended this Satyanarayan Puja. Like in none of the Vedic scripture or the text, this Satyanarayan Puja has been recommended. But most of the people, when they move to new house or when they get married or any auspicious thing is to be done, they do the Satyanarayan Katha and they do the Satyanarayan Puja. And if you read the entire story of Satyanarayan Puja, it's all about, sense gratification. That ultimately, when we do this, what you will get. And then they connect this entire story to Lord Vishnu, which is actually, when I checked with a senior devotee, he very clearly mentioned that this story is not there in any of the scripture. It's all concocted. Okay, so the 17th says, self-complacent and always impudent, deluded by wealth and false prestige, they sometimes proudly perform sacrifices in name only without following any rules and regulations. So basically, going everything against the scripture. So that's what it's. And then, bewildered by false ego, strength, pride, lust, and anger, the demons become envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in their own bodies and in the bodies of others, and blaspheme against real religion. And then, those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, Krishna says, I perpetually cast into the ocean of material excess, which means when we have these qualities, Krishna will cast us into this material world. But depending on the severity of acts that we have done. So whether we are going into the Narkaloka or any other more abominable planet, or again back into this earth planet, it all depends on what kind of activity we have done. But only this earth planet gives us an opportunity to perform devotional service and then go back home, back to God. In no other planet that facility is available. Even if one is going to a Swargaloka, that person, after enjoying, has to come back to this material world, this Bhuloka. He has to come here and then practice devotional service, and then only he can go back to God. Otherwise, this continuous cycle of birth and death will go on endlessly. And then finally, attaining repeated birth amongst the species of demonic life, O son of Kunti, such persons can never approach me. Yeah. So that's why everyone does not know about Krishna, isn't it? Everyone, like for example, right now we have only 26 people connected. So there are so many people around, but hardly 26 people are there. So that's why Krishna cannot be approached by each one of us. Yeah, very, very difficult to approach. And he says, Krishna says, gradually they sink down to the most abominable type of existence. So this covers the entire understanding of the demonic nature. If at all you are interested, please refer the 16th chapter. Read the verse from 7th verse to 20. Read the purport by Srila Prabhupada. So it gives a very good understanding of what actually Krishna is meaning and what Krishna is trying to say. And then the choice that we take. Yeah. So how are we escaping from performing the devotional service, that and which is describing from verse 16.21 until 24. The three gates to hell: freedom through avoidance, danger of rejecting Shastra, and then Shastra is the ultimate guide. Yeah. So the three gates to hell by lust, anger, and greed. So these are the three. So when we develop the lust, when we develop anger, and then when we develop greed, so what happens? These are the three gates which will take us to hell for sure. And then one who avoids the three gates becomes eligible for self-realization. So if we avoid lust, anger, and greed, then we become eligible for self-realization. We can then practice devotional service. And then what are the dangers of rejecting the Shastra? A person who disregards scriptural injunction and acts whimsically cannot attain perfection, happiness, or liberation. Then 24 says the Shastra is the ultimate guide. So therefore one must know what to do and what not to do. So when we read the Shastra, it will have a clear injunction as what we have to practice and what we should not practice. So scriptural guidance is a safe path to elevate consciousness and act properly. Hare Krishna. Thank you all so much. I stop here. We are already exceeded the time limit. So if anyone has any questions, comments, we have another 5-7 minutes, or maybe another 2-3 minutes, or we
Prabhuji,
can put it
actually,
in.
there's another class at 12 sharp, Prabhuji. We're already 13 minutes over time.
Okay, thank you so much, Mataji.
If
Okay,
it's possible, we can take the Q&A tomorrow, Prabhuji.
we will do that. We will do that.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank
Actually,
you so
what
much,
happened,
Prabhuji.
this class started late because the class was going on earlier. So we got, it was already delayed by 10 minutes. That's why.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes. I'm so sorry, Prabhuji.
No problem, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Mataji.
Vancha.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Awesome.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Vancha.
Vishnu Murti Ke Jai Shri Prabhupada.